Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Lang Luo's appearance stopped the Yuan'er Sect's 10 elders in their tracks. Back at the Luo Sect's holy land, they had witnessed firsthand Lang Luo's methods. This was the man whose name once shocked the heavens. Not only was his name on the top of the blacklist 300 years ago, but he was also a rare 8-leaf elite. Fang Wenxian cupped his fists and said, "This is a matter of the Yuan'er Sect. I humbly ask that you stay out of this, senior." Nonsense. Lang Luo said harshly, "Hua Dao is an elder of the evil sky pavilion. What does he have to do with the Yuan'er Sect? I do not like to waste my breath. You're to get out of my sight in 10 breaths." After he said this, he moved rapidly to the front of Hua Dao. With the display of this Dao invisibility technique, the 10 elders did not dare to take Lang Luo lightly. They exchanged a look among themselves. Fang Wenxian said lightly, "I heard that you detonated your Sea of Qi when you fought the Grand Shaman, Emily, and your cultivation base isn't restored yet. Once the head of the Black Knights, Fan Xiuwen, look at you know, nothing but a lackey of the evil sky pavilion." The irony. Not many knew about these things. How did Fang Wenxian find out about this? Die. Lang Luo would not let anyone slight him. With lightning speed, he was upon the 10 elders. He did not waste time and summoned his 8-leaf avatar. Boom. It shrunk before it expanded. The 10 elders were sent flying in the air. Their blood essences surged. Lang Luo hovered in the air with his hands on his back. He swept his cold gaze across the 10 elders. Fang Wenxian and Zhang Fifan were standing nearby. They were watching this scene with shocked expressions on their faces. Meanwhile, among the charred forest in the distance, something rustled in the ashes. There were many cultivators lying in wait among the trees. When they saw this, they were shocked as well. "We've underestimated the evil sky pavilion. That's an 8-leaf avatar. With Pan Litian out, that person must be Lang Luo." They were some ways away and could not get a clear look. Let's continue watching. Rustle. The crowd remained hidden in the dark forest as they watched the battle at the foot of Golden Court Mountain from a distance. Lang Luo's attack connected with his targets. He stood with his hands on his back and said, "Wine sacks and food bags." The 10 elders stabilized themselves and regarded Lang Luo in fear. Fang Wenxian said after he clicked his tongue, "Lang Luo. Are you the only one keeping the evil sky pavilion afloat? 300 years ago, you've committed every atrocity imaginable. Why are you trying to be a guardian deity all of a sudden? Why don't you defect? When the evil sky pavilion is destroyed, you'll be hailed as one of the greatest contributors. How about that?" This time, Lang Luo did not reply. He vanished from where he stood. Fang Wenxian felt his heart sink. The 10 elders were caught off guard as well. Was Lang Luo not hurt? Boom. Lang Luo's avatar appeared again. This time it appeared beside Fang Wenxian. At the same time, Lang Luo struck with his palm. Fang Wenxian frowned. He blocked with his arms. Bam. The others were sent flying again. Shadow strata. Lang Luo folded his palms and moved them back and forth. His primal chi surged as he once again vanished from sight. In the next second, the skies were covered in dark shadows. They charged toward the reeling Fang Wenxian. Bam. 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 Densely packed hand seals shone with golden radiance. The butterflies flying in the air landed on Fang Wenxian's body. Grand Elder. The others were frightened. Lang Luo was too powerful. An 8-leaf elite was too terrifying. Hua Dao was overwhelmed with emotions when he saw this. The evil sky pavilion disciples were excited as well. Bam. 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 From the moment Fang Wenxian reeled back to the moment he fell, only a few breaths had passed. They lost count of the number of hand seals Lang Luo launched in this short span of time. Boom. Fang Wenxian crashed onto the ground. Lang Luo hovered in midair. He placed his hands on his back and looked down at them. Is that all? The scene was as silent as a graveyard. The 10 elders did not expect Lang Luo to be this powerful. Hua Wudao was also stunned by Lang Luo's combat strength. The Evil Sky Pavilion disciples thought Lang Luo was skilled in fleeing and that his combat strength was not as powerful as Pan Litian's. They did not expect him to be this terrifying when he was in a frenzy. Fang Wenxian launched into a coughing fit. He sat up with difficulty and spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked up at the skies and laughed before he said, "Well, there's no doubt you're injured." If Lang Luo was uninjured, he would have died with this strike. Grand Elder. The 10 elders approached Fang Weixian and stood before him. Their eyes were firmly trained on Lang Luo in the air. They said in unison, "Combine strength." The 10 of them arranged themselves in a triangular formation. The elder in front extended his hands while the others placed their hands on the back of the person before them. Their primal chi flowed along their arms and quickly entered the elder standing in the lead. A huge hand seal sailed toward Lang Luo. Lang Luo struck at the air and moved backward. Combine strength again. Another huge hand seal sailed toward Lang Luo. This time, its speed was clearly much faster. Boom. Suddenly, Hua Wudao's 6 compatible seal burst forth, with a golden radiance and shrouded Lang Luo. The huge hand seal collided with the 6 compatible seal. A huge radiant circle expanded as energy scattered into the surroundings. "Master, listen to me. Leave the Evil Sky Pavilion at once," Zhang Fifan called out from the back. Hua Wudao would not have been irritated if this had been said by someone else. However, Zhang Fifan was once his disciple whom he had invested much of his time and energy in teaching. And yet, his disciple was here mocking him. How could he not feel angry? With the 8 trigrams under his feet, he stepped forward. He pushed forward with his 6 compatible seal. The 10 elders combined their strength and pushed forward as well. Boom. 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 The huge hand seal pushed against the 6 compatible seal, but it could not break it. 7 leaf? You're at the 7 leaf stage, now? Fang Wenxian got up with difficulty. An incredulous expression could be seen on his face. Hua Wudao's trauma was common knowledge among the members of the Yuan'er sect. He did not show any signs of a breakthrough for 20 years. Fang Wenxian did not expect him to reach the 7-leaf stage after joining the Evil Sky Pavilion. A 7-leaf cultivator and an injured 8-leaf cultivator. The 10 elders had varying cultivation bases, but the greatest of them all was only at the 5-leaf stage. How were they supposed to fight these two? The formation. Fang Wenxian ordered. Roger. The 10 elders stopped launching hand seals and adjusted their positions. At this very moment, Lang Luo's body vanished from sight again. Too late. After images shot toward them, Lang Luo appeared among them and unleashed his 8-leaf avatar again. When there was a difference in realms, the crushing force of an avatar was even more apparent. Before one's opponent, one's avatar's height, toughness, width, and the force of expansion could crush a weaker avatar. There was no other way to deal with such an attack aside from dodging it. However, Lang Luo was known for his speed. He would never give them the opportunity to evade him. Boom. They reeled back. Hua Wudao stepped into the air at this moment. He struck with his palm. Bam. One of them reeled and collided with the inner wall of the 6 compatible seal. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Hua Wudao has learned how to attack. Duanmu Xingdove with his overlord spear in hand. When Zhu Honggong saw this, he laughed and said, "All hail the Evil Sky Pavilion. All hail the Old Ones." Zhao Yu looked at Zhu Honggong in disgust. Meanwhile, Lang Luo erupted with his power again and lunged at Fang Wenxian. Hua Wudao trapped the 10 elders with his 6 compatible seal. They had nowhere to run. Who said the 6 compatible seal could only be used as a defensive move? This was an effective and wonderful mobile prison. It was like a giant net. At this moment, they suddenly realized that the powerful one here was not Lang Luo but Hua Wudao. Hua Wudao shrunk his 6 compatible seal so the 10 elders were drawn closer together. Avatars. The 10 elders shouted simultaneously. 10 avatars pushed against each other in that cramped space. The golden radiances overlapped, and the avatars overlapped. The glare was almost blinding. Boom. Die, Hua Wudao. The 10 elders came to a tacit agreement. They were well-versed in coordinated attacks. Was this explosion within the confines of the 6 compatible seal not placing himself at the mouth of the tiger? The tides of the battle were effervescent. Nobody could know who would emerge victorious until the very end. The numerous cultivators in the forest who were watching the battle felt nervous. This is bad. Elder Hua's in trouble. Whoosh. Whoosh. Energy arrows sailed from the evil sky pavilion. Hua Yueshing pulled on her bow with a furious expression. She applied all that she had learned. The pace at which she formed energy arrows was reaching the extremes as well. Bam. 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 The energy arrows hit the nearest elder. Very good. Hua Wudao retreated through the air. He retracted his 6 compatible seal briefly before unleashing it again. It was enough to hit one of them. The elders' concerted efforts had been thrown off. Boom. The others were pushed away by Hua Wudao's 6 compatible seal. Nice one. You're doing great, old man. This was the strength of the old age pavilion. The 10 elders fell to the ground. Meanwhile, Lang Luo's tidal wave of hand seals landed on Fang Wenxian. Isolated and without help, Fang Wenxian took the brunt of the attacks. His face was bruised and swollen now. Bam. 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 Fang Wenxian was being hung up and beaten by Lang Luo. Lang Luo's body flitted about his target. Eventually, he hovered in midair and brought his foot down. Although Fang Wenxian had activated his protective energy and was doing his best to desperately defend himself and resist Lang Luo's advances, in front of a person with high agility, his defenses were full of holes that were completely exploited. Boom. Fang Wenxian crashed to the ground again. Zhang Fifan, Hua Wudao's former disciple, was stunned as he watched the battle nearby. He thought this move would force Hua Wudao and Lang Luo into desperate straits even if they could not kill those two. At that time, the evil sky pavilion disciples would be drawn out. He did not expect Fang Wenxian to suffer a crushing defeat by Lang Luo's hand before he could even do anything. Zhang Fifan's lips trembled. He looked at Fang Wenxian, who was lying in the pit, and ran over. Grand Elder. It was as though he had forgotten about Lang Luo, who was standing above Fang Wenxian. Lang Luo looked down coldly from his perch in midair with his hands on his back. Technically speaking, nobody in the evil sky pavilion could be as merciless as Lang Luo. The Yuan'er Sect's Grand Elder, Fang Wenxian, could not even retaliate under the barrage of attacks before he was defeated. It was unclear if he would be able to survive this. Zhang Fifan propped him up as best he could. Fang Weixian spat out a mouthful of blood. Under the moonlight, his blood stained the ground a dazzling red. His lips trembled as he grabbed Zhang Fifan's right arm. His hand that was stained with blood left a bloody imprint on Zhang Fifan's arms. Zhang Fifan's sleeve was forcibly torn away. At this moment, his head lolled to the side after he breathed his last breath. He's dead. Zhang Fifan widened his eyes. The Grand Elder is dead. Grand Elder. The other 10 elders did not expect Lang Luo to be this powerful. They struggled to sit up straight, fearfully looking at Lang Luo. Lang Luo was pressing on his chest to subdue the pain. He seemed strained from the effort. The 10 elders were not in much better shapes themselves. At the moment they were sent flying by Hua Wudao's 6 compatible seal, they all sustained varying degrees of injuries. When Fang Wenxian died, the 10 of them were flustered. They gathered toward the center with their backs against each other as they formed an outward-facing circle. They looked up at Lang Luo and Hua Wudao. Whoosh! At the point where the moon shone the brightest, a thick and powerful arrow whistled loudly as it sailed in the air. The energy arrow penetrated one of the elders who merely possessed a 3-leaf cultivation base. It pierced his body and his heart. He glared and instinctively made to catch the energy arrow. As he clenched his fist, the energy arrow dispersed. Fifth elder. The other 9 elders exclaimed in shock. A bloody hole the size of a duck's egg could be seen on the 5th elder's chest. With a wound like that on his vital organ, he was beyond help. The 5th elder's eyes widened in shock as he looked in the direction of the evil sky pavilion and fell on his back. The 9 elders wanted to catch him, but Hua Wudao was walking toward them. Hua Wudao sighed and shook his head. I've warned you before. With your abilities, you can't even take me down. How can you even think about destroying the evil sky pavilion? You. Zhang Fifan. Hua Wudao barked. Zhang Fifan shuddered. He sprinted toward the forest. Rascal. Running away? Hua Wudao leaped. He jumped over the heads of the 9 injured elders and flew toward his former disciple, Zhang Fifan. The 9 elders wanted to stop him, but Lang Luo turned around and faced them. The 9 of them instinctively took a step forward as though they were facing a fierce monster. Hua Wudao flew at top speed. Zhang Fifan used everything in his arsenal to escape. It was as though his life depended on this. When he saw his rascal of a disciple running this quickly, Hua Wudao was enraged. He shouted, "I'll clear the sect of you today." Swoosh! When Hua Wudao was almost on Zhang Fifan, shining golden talismans with dense and rich energy flew toward him. Bam! The instant Hua Wudao activated his 6 compatible seal, the scripts were kept at bay. A huge flying chariot emerged slowly from the forest before him. A black mass of cultivators was escorting the huge flying chariot. Under the moonlight, the aura of this group seemed peculiar. The Celestial Master Sect? Hua Wudao stopped chasing after Zhang Fifan. He looked at the huge flying chariot as he hovered in midair. A quiet voice rang from the flying chariot. According to the agreement of the Fiend Extermination Alliance, the Celestial Master's Sect should jump in when Lang Luo appears. Hua Wudao, your opponents are the Yuan'er Sect's 10 elders. Hua Wudao understood what this meant. The Fiend Extermination Alliance had allotted their targets to the different factions. It was no wonder only the 10 elders of the Yuan'er Sect showed up when he appeared. He said, "Daoist Master Zhou Yuan? Since the Celestial Master Sect is here, where are the remaining 6 great sects?" As he spoke, he cast his gaze into the distance in an attempt to locate the other sects. Within the huge flying chariot, Zhou Yuan did not answer Hua Wudao. Instead, he looked at Lang Luo who was hovering nearby. With a deep voice, he said, "Lang Luo, I've always treasured my friendship with the Yuan'er Sect. Now that you killed Fang Wenxian, I can no longer sit back and not do anything." A piece of paper flew out of the flying chariot. Strange symbols were written on the paper. Against the moonlight, they ignited without warning. With a blinding golden light, they formed an energy seal. Hua Wudao would never allow this energy seal to get past him. He turned at once, folded his palms, and allowed his primal chi to surge. Boom! The script energy seal struck Hua Wudao's 6 compatible seal. The intense collision of energies made Hua Wudao take several steps backward. Shortly after, scripts of energy seals flew at him in rapid succession. When Lang Luo saw this, he said, "Stand back." There was a flurry of movement. In truth, Lang Luo's method of crushing Fang Wenxian with all his strength was not sustainable. From the beginning until the end, Fang Wenxian was eliminated before he could unleash his skills. He could not maintain this level of power forever. The appearance of the Celestial Master's Sect left them no choice but to retreat. "You won't be going anywhere," Someone emerged from the top of the flying chariot with his hands on his back. His gaze was sharp and cold. It complemented the sneer on his face. He shot into the air. Behind his back, he flipped his hands several times, and talismans appeared between his fingers. The talismans shot toward Hua Wudao's 6 compatible seal like bullets. Hua Wudao could sense how formidable this opponent was. This was sect master of the Celestial Masters sect, Zhou Yuan. His cultivation base was unfathomable. He immediately activated his primal chi and raised the 6 compatible seal to its highest level. The 9 scripts spun and merged as one. Taoist master Zhou Yuan scoffed and struck with both his palms. Several talismans burst forth with power and formed a cone-shaped attack. Bam! With the point of collision as the center, a vertical ripple spread out. Boom! A ravine appeared on the ground. Hua Wudao was sent reeling from the impact. His 6 compatible seal had been shattered. Both opponents faced each other from afar. Taoist master Zhou Yuan placed his hands on his back and said in a deep voice as he hovered in the air, "The 6 compatible seal originated from the Taoist sect to begin with. Indeed, it took me some time to break this seal, but it's not unbreakable." You came prepared? There seemed to be flames in Hua Wudao's eyes. Since he could come up with such a powerful defense, the others could naturally think of a way to counter his skills. The 6 compatible seal had Taoist roots to begin with, and so did the Celestial Masters sect. Talisman seals were their specialty. It could attach to shield-type Taoist seals and corrode them. Yes, I've come prepared. At this juncture, there was no need to beat around the bush. Hua Wudao shook his head. Zhou Yuan, you've grown much more shameless now. I'm merely meting out justice on behalf of the heavens. The Celestial Masters sect's Grand Elder, Zhang Daoran, lost his life to Yu Shangrong. Zhang Yunshan died under by Yu Qing's hands. He's one of Yu Zhenghai's protectors. It's the law of nature to repay a life with a life. Moreover, the fiend path is getting out of hand, and everyone has a responsibility to persecute it, Zhou Yuan said self-righteously. Shouldn't a man who's supposed to die be killed? Hua Wudao, you've fallen into the fiend path. You're beyond help. Zhou Yuan said as he shot out. Whoosh. At this moment, energy arrows were fired from the top of the evil sky pavilion again. Alongside the energy arrows, there were also the disciples of the evil sky pavilion, Zhu Honggong, Zhao Yu, Duanmu Sheng, and Little Yuan. Lang Luo glanced at the forest in the distance and said in a deep voice, "Zhu Yuan, you rejoiced too soon." Lang Luo's body began to fade out of focus. A 100-foot avatar advanced. A glaring light flashed in the forest in the distance. Figures were hovering under a huge tree. When he saw this, Lang Luo recalled his avatar and shouted, "Begone." Lang Luo was everywhere. He was an 8-leaf cultivator, after all. He was not someone whom 7-leaf cultivators could hope to compare to. With a terrifying speed, he brought Hua Wudao away. Bam! 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 The energy arrows collided with the rapidly launched script energy seals. It was as if fireworks were being launched into the air. What a skilled godly archer! Zhou Yuan was slightly annoyed. Hua Yueshing's energy arrows seemed to be shot in a frenzy. It rained down on Zhou Yuan ceaselessly, cutting off his attacks. Zhou Yuan turned and said, "What are you waiting for?" From among the trees, a brighter and more powerful energy arrow shot toward the evil sky pavilion. Hua Yueshing, look out. There was a more powerful godly archer in the forest. Hua Yueshing stood atop the evil sky pavilion. When she saw the incoming energy arrow, she was momentarily stunned. She had been focusing on Hua Wudao and did all she could to ensure his safety. She did not expect there to be such a powerful godly archer here. Who was it? Her heart sank. This is bad. The energy arrow was too powerful and fast. Hua Yueshing closed her eyes. Bam! Just when Hua Yueshing thought she would die, she suddenly felt herself being picked up by someone else. She opened her eyes at once. What she saw was a faint bluish shield before herself. The evil Sky Pavilion's master, Zhou, wielded the shield in his right hand. His left hand was holding her shoulder as they descended slowly. Pavilion Master? Zhou flipped his hand. The shield disappeared. The two of them were standing before the great hall in darkness. Their enemies could no longer see them. Zhou placed Hua Yueshing down. He said, "There's no need to be afraid.